From 10 years ago, some of you may remember our next guest. Yes, that's right. It was quite funny 10 years ago. Anthony Galie is an author, speaker, and trained psychotherapist, and he has studied the secrets of top performers in every field. He's here tonight to show you how to achieve the unthinkable. Please help me welcome Anthony Galie.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to stand here for just a few minutes while they arrange my stage a little bit. Good to be back. I don't know how many of you folks know it, but I was here 11 years ago in 2001. And when I found I was being asked back again, I did a little check. I went back and looked at what had changed in the last 11 years. And man, things certainly have changed in the last 11 years, have they not? One was, in my old presentation that I did 11 years ago, we used to joke, or I did joke then, that Lucent was stuck at 70. Do any of you remember that? I think it's, what, 10 cents now? There were also, obviously, there was no 9/11, there was no social network, there was no Twitter, there was 99 things that have happened since then. I have been on a rift for the last couple of months about the rate of change that we are going through in this world. It simply fascinates me and amazes me. First, let me put it in perspective. If you talk to an anthropologist, they will tell you that human beings have been on this planet for roughly 250,000 years. Now, they have found bones that are 1 million years old, but when they talk about human beings, they're talking about things like ritualistic burials, cave drawings, complicated language acquisition, the use of tools. They estimate roughly 250,000 years human beings have been crawling around this planet. Do any of you know when the wheel was invented? Well, if you look it up, you'll discover the wheel was invented in 8000 BC. And if you do the math, you'll realize that human beings were on this planet for 240,000 years before somebody figured out how to make a wheel. That's the rate of change we used to go through. Honestly. By the way, the next major change, at least as far as human development, was the invention of the plow. And the reason that was such an important invention is that the plow, through the invention of the plow, human beings no longer had to be hunter-gatherers. They could now stay in one place, grow their food in one place. That gave rise to the great civilizations. Do any of you know when the plow was invented? 5000 BC. So it took them another 3,000 years after the invention of the wheel to get around to making a plow. It took them another 5,500 years before they invented the printing press. Printing press was 1430. The reason the printing press was so important is that now they could mass produce information. They no longer had to have scribes handwriting each book. They could make books by the hundreds and pass them out to people. That led to the big jump in information. The Renaissance was a result of that. Another big invention was the telephone. Approximately 430 years later, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone in 1870. Then along, 100 years later, came the cell phone in 1970. And then the next big jump, of course, was the smartphone. Do any of you happen to remember when the smartphone was introduced? Surprisingly enough, it was 2007 that the smartphone came out, a mere 5 years ago. Now, you want to see rate of change in action? How many of you folks in this room own a smartphone? Can I see by show of hands? Isn't that amazing? That invention came out 5 years ago, and within 5 years, virtually everyone adopted it. Things are changing faster than at any time in human history, and I'll tell you why that's happening. About 35 years ago, we adopted a change that really sped everything up. We went from the analog system to the digital system, to the binary system. And virtually overnight, things zoomed up by a factor of 1,000. Almost overnight, everybody had digital calculators. Do you remember that in the late 70s, the TI calculators? All of a sudden, no one was doing hand calculations anymore. They all had a calculator. Then came digital watches. And then the tape decks all morphed into CDs. And then the VHSs all turned into DVDs. And then everybody had a digital and a personal computer. And then there was email. And then there was the social networking, all virtually overnight in terms of amount of time. Within 35 years, we have zoomed to where we are right now. And all these changes have been miraculous. They've certainly sped along society's production and progression, but it made me stop and wonder. All these changes that have taken place so fast, this computer age that we are in, this information age, has it changed us? And I've come to the conclusion that it has. And I'll give you some examples. Let's go back to the digital calculator. One of the first digital changes I ever saw, the digital calculator. It changed us all in a very subtle way. And if you don't think so, I got an experiment for you. Sometime tonight, invent a 6-digit number, any 6-digit number you want. 332,942. Invent a 6-digit number. Divide that number by 14. Longhand. Number 1, see if you can still do it. Number 2, see how long it takes you. Fact of the matter is, we long ago abandoned any hand calculations, digital division or multiplication, because all of us have calculators on those smartphones, on our desks, in our pockets. They're everywhere. We no longer have to do that. So we abandon that. We turn that over to the machines. I'll give you another change that took place so rapidly. My teenager had a term paper that was due. I asked him when it was due. He said, in 4 days. I said, you better get on it. He said, why? I can do a term paper in 4 hours. I said, show me. And he did. He Googled the topic. 1 million links came up. He hit one link, went to another, went to another. It became instantly obvious that he could do a rather detailed term paper in 4 hours or less. Well, I remember when I had term papers, I always assigned a week to it. It took me at least a week to do a term paper, because in those days, we had a thing called a library. And if you were doing a topic, you had to actually go research it. You had to drag yourselves out to that library. You had to pull out those Dewey Decimal cards. Remember those stupid things? You had to look up and write down all the numbers, and the numbers told you what row to go to, what floor to go to, and you had to go searching for where the book was supposed to be. About half the time you get there, some jerk had stolen it, so you had to start the process all over again. If you finally did find a reference book, you had to actually open it, look at the chapters, flip through the pages, breeze through the chapters till you got to the relevant information, and then either jot it down, or in those days, we Xeroxed it for 25 cents a page. Any of you remember that? Those days are long gone, right? Because nobody looks up anything anymore. I don't know how many of you read 2 weeks ago, Encyclopedia Britannica announced that they are no longer making books. How sad is that? There's no more encyclopedias, for Pete's sake. No one reads books anymore. They don't have to, because it's all become digitized. And, you know, my son can do his term paper in 4 hours, but I honestly don't think he understands it at the same level or the same degree that I understood the term papers that I had to do. Because here's what's being subtracted from our thought process, the actual process. We no longer have to draw those little boxes, carry our twos, and do that longhand division. You punch in a number, the computer gives you an answer. Why? Because there's a part of a computer that can compute about 1,000 times faster than the human brain. And what's the body of a computer called? The heart of a computer is called a processor. That's what's missing, the process. He doesn't understand the story of that term paper as well as I do, because this process is being subtracted. We are beginning to think like computers. We are beginning to talk like computers. We are beginning to act like computers. It has subtly affected us in thousands of ways. Let me give you a few others. I presume most, if not all of you, work in an office situation. If you do, you either drive or take some kind of transportation to and from that office at least a few times a week. Try to remember the last time you drove to work. Try to remember the last time you drove or took transportation to work. Now, if it took you 20 minutes to get to work, how much of that 20-minute drive can you really remember? If you are like most people, you're going to be lucky to call back 2 or 3 out of those 20 minutes. Here's the question. Where were you the rest of that time? The rest of the time, most of you were thinking about what you should have done, could have done, might have done, what you think you're going to do, what you hope you're going to do, what you wish is going to happen, and not actually paying attention to what you're doing. And here's how that is reflected. Honestly, how many folks have ever driven past your exit on a freeway? Can I see by show of hands? Where were you when you did that? How do you drive past a 20-foot-high sign and literally not even see it? I'll tell you why. Because your head is up in the clouds, because you're starting to think in what I would call frozen instants in time. You know, when everybody started using a personal computer, another term entered our lexicon. It was the mid-'80s. I remember when I started hearing a term, multitasking. First time I ever heard it was the mid-'80s, when everybody started using computers. Multitasking. You call somebody and say, what are you doing? I'm doing 5 things at once. You know, what do you mean? I'm thinking of 5 things at the same time. I'm a psychologist. I'm here to tell you that's impossible. You cannot think of 5 things at once. You can only process one stream of information at a time. Here's what you can do. You can try to imitate a computer and bounce your attention around to 5 different things, almost like a movie, so it seems like you're doing 5 things at once. But trust me, you're only processing one stream at a time. The computer has affected us. This information age has affected us dramatically. The tweet. Another example. Condense all of your thoughts into 140 characters or less. People talk like computers, LOL, BRB. It's happening at every stage of our existence, and I am making this sound like a negative thing, but here's what's happening to us. Our heads are in the clouds most of the time. We're missing most of what's going on around us. Read a magazine on the way up here today. It happens to be the cover story this month, the Atlantic Monthly. Do any of you happen to read that particular magazine? The cover of Atlantic Monthly is social networking making us lonely? And they'll say people have 75, 80 friends, and what happened was that Facebook just had to open a new section where you now can categorize, these are my real friends. These are the ones I really want them to know what's going on. These are just other people that happen. You know, that social networking is actually making us lonelier and not bringing us closer together because it's so scatterbrained. We walk around with our heads in the cloud half the time. And not coincidentally, do any of you know what the next generation of computing has already been called? If you have not heard this term, you will. It's called cloud computing. They want your head in the clouds, for Pete's sake. Cloud computing. Give us all of your digital information and we will store it for you. Give us your programs and we will run them for you. Well, where will those programs be stored? In the cloud. Well, where will it actually be? Well, you see, they're not actually going to be in any one location, a little piece here, a little piece there. It's going to be like a hologram. It's going to be all over the place. Well, won't it be insecure? Won't people, get at my information that way? Never happen. Trust me. Just give us your information. It's going to go out in the clouds. We're all moving toward that way of thinking. And again, I'm making this sound terrible or awful. It's not. I think the toys are fantastic. I love cell phones. I love the smartphones. I think all that stuff is great, has moved us, light years ahead of the way it used to be. Heck, first 40 years of my life, biggest change that took place in telephones is we went from a rotary to a push-button telephone. And it took them 40 years to do that. Things have really accelerated, and the change is wonderful. However, you folks have chosen to make your living in a profession that requires exactly the opposite type of thinking. I'm looking at your logo over here, serving individual investors. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't a big, giant part of your job to develop a personal and interpersonal relationship with an individual and a family, to get to know that particular individual's wants and needs, to understand and construct for them a financial plan that's going to work for that individual, not a cookie-cutter plan? Most of us are walking around with our heads in the clouds. We're multitasking. Now, I'm really going to date myself here, but do any of you remember who Alan Freed was? I'm not that old. Alan Freed was a disc jockey in the mid-50s. He's the man that is credited with coining the term rock and roll. He was a disc jockey in Cleveland, went on to be a very famous disc jockey in New York, and he's the guy who supposedly invented the term rock and roll. He was also a very interesting individual. There are a number of quotes that have been attributed to him, but here's the one I like the best. He had a habit. When he was doing his show as a disc jockey, he always blasted the music. Now, most disc jockeys didn't do that. Most disc jockeys would start a record, and then they'd turn the volume down, do something, keep their ear to it. When the record was about to end, they'd come back again. Okay, now for our next tune. He never did that. Alan Freed was known for always blasting the music at high volume, and it used to drive his sound engineers crazy. So one night, one of his sound engineers, Alan, why do you always play the music so loud? And his answer was, because they always know when you're listening. They always know when you're listening. Well, I'm going to say that to you because I think it has importance. They always know when you're listening. If you are playing with that monitor of yours, and I asked a couple advisors, I said, does your monitor have a lot going on? Oh, yeah, you got 5 or 6 things going on at a time. If you're sitting there playing with your cell phone or your smartphone, or you're sitting there paying attention to that monitor, and one of your clients calls with a service problem, they know when you're not listening. They know when you're not giving them 110% of your attention. If you have a client show up for an appointment at your office, and mentally you're thinking about the jerk that cut you off on the freeway, or the really important client that's coming in after this guy, or the fight you had with your spouse that morning, and you are not there in the here and now for them, they pick up on that. Now, they're not sitting back there with a checklist saying, oh, look, they're breaking eye contact frequently, they're breathing irregularly, they're moving around and shifting in their chair. They're not sitting there with a checklist. They feel it. We all feel it. We know when the person we're trying to communicate is there and when they're not. And more, as a byproduct of this fractured type of thinking that we all do, it's becoming harder and harder to get and stay focused when we want to. Now, with that as a foundation, I am known in the business for teaching people like yourselves how to get and stay focused on their goals. And I honestly feel like I'm preaching to the choir. I mean, if this is not an alpha group, I don't know what is. You guys are amazing. The top 350 performers, I just saw the people that won the $1 Million Award, the $2 Million Award, the $4 Million Award. My hat's off to you guys. So this is what the 1% looks like, huh? This is great. I have to be preaching to the choir in a group such as this, but I'm going to ask you a question. Would it or would it not behoove you to get focused and to learn how to stay focused, at least when you want to be focused? I'm not saying don't multitask, don't do 10 things at once if that's what you need to do not take part in this complicated world we live in. I think that's great, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to shut it off at will and put your attention when and where you wanted and needed it, at least as far as your clients go? Well, here's the good news. You really don't have to learn how to do that. You were born doing that. Look at a 4 or a 5-year-old. They are in the moment. You were born focused. All this fractured cloud-like thinking is a byproduct of the time you happen to live in. It's not hard to learn. You've already learned it. All I do is show people essentially how to relearn it. And there are really dozens of ways you can learn to get and stay focused. There's not one universal answer. There are a variety of tricks in my bag, so to speak. I'm not a one-trick pony, but because of my time constraints tonight, I'm going to confine my comments to one technique. Out of all the dozens you could possibly learn, I will share with you one. Some of you, since you saw my presentation a number of years ago, know what this is all about. For those of you that do not, let me share with you what this one technique that I'd like to show you is. I am known in the business as a motivational hypnotist. I'm going to teach you how to hypnotize yourself. Now, before you get all spooked and scared about what that is, let me explain. It's not a scary state of mind. In fact, happen to believe the average person in this room is already spending about 70% of their waking day in a trance anyhow. I'm just going to show you how to put some of it to good use. You think I'm kidding, right? The average person spends well in excess of 70 to 80% of their day in a trance, and if not, you simply have to open your eyes and look at people while you talk to them. Watch the person in the course of average conversation, and you will see them frequently lose it, get it back again, drift in and out of the conversation, stare off to the side. All you got to do is clock the amount of time they spend in the here and now with a stopwatch, and you'll see people spend huge expanses of their time up in the clouds thinking of something else. Most of that time is wasted. Again, I presume most of you work in an office situation, and if that is the case, I got a little test for you. The next time on Monday you find yourself in the office working, take a 2 or 3 second break sometime during the day, stand up and gaze out at your fellow advisors, and ask yourself a very simple question. How many of these people I'm looking at right now are fully conscious, actually generating some dollar-producing activity, actually getting something done? And how many of these people I'm gaining at are staring out into space in that trance like that guy was talking about at the banquet? All you got to do is open your eyes and look, and you'll see we spend a huge amount of time in trance-like behavior. Now, I fly a lot. I am known in Delta as a 4 million miler. Now, that's just insanity. That's just with Delta Airlines. To give you a quick rundown, yesterday I was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Tomorrow I'm going to Cairo, Egypt. And here I am tonight in Phoenix. I'll spend 3 days in Cairo, and then I go to Rome. That's nuts. I fly a lot. But when I was a kid, the biggest thrill I could possibly imagine was flying in a jet airplane. I remember as a kid, that was it. That was the cat's meow for me. I was thrilled anytime I got a chance to fly. Well, I have flown so much now, I routinely miss the takeoff. Routinely. I will settle in my seat, and I'll either open a book, get involved in something, look out, we've taken off, and I have no memory at all of the takeoff. Now, how far gone do you have to be to miss a takeoff? You know, that's a pretty violent event, isn't it? I mean, your body's being hurtled down a runway at 250 miles an hour, thrown 10,000 feet in the air. How do you miss something like that? I miss it routinely. I get so, and you folks are missing about 3/4 of what's going on around you. As I mentioned, most people waste that. And the next time you actually see a person in a trance, totally zoned out, snap a finger, make some noise, snap them out of it, and then immediately ask them, do you mind if I ask you, what were you just thinking about? And 9 out of 10 will look straight in the eyes and say, nothing. And they're being honest, by the way, just so you know. We waste huge swaths of our otherwise productive day thinking about what we should have done, what we're going to do, and all that jazz. You know, not everybody wastes it. I venture to wager many of you in this room do not waste it. See, I've often believed the top producers, the heavy hitters, are hypnotizing themselves, whether they call it that or not. Almost invariably, when you interview the top dogs, they'll say, you know, I visualize my goals. I know what it is I want to do. Now, I've got two examples just from this group. Gentleman down here that I had dinner with tonight, sat next to him, and he said, you know, he's one of the $1 million winners tonight for the first time. I asked him if he was going to win the award. He said, yeah, I'm one of the $1 million winners tonight, and without blinking an eye, without me saying anything else, and he said, and I want you to hypnotize me to win $2 million. That's it. That's the state of mind I'm talking about. The heavy hitters have this image, have this vision. Now, I wandered out throughout the cocktail hour for a while, and I was talking to another one of the advisors, and he also came up here to win one of those $1 million awards a few moments ago. And he had said, I could have told you last year I was going to be winning this award. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, you know, a friend of mine, I was in a banquet last year, and a friend of mine who I know very well, he was winning the award. And while he went up there and got his picture taken, I sat there and I said to myself, that's going to be me next year. And he said, I'll tell you right now. He said, every night before I went to bed, I used to close my eyes and imagine I'm going to win the award. I can see myself. I knew what I was going to look like. I knew how I was going to pose. I had it in my head that I was going to be up there. And he said, in about an hour, that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, believe it or not, that is self-hypnosis. It's not a scary thing. The heavy hitters don't waste all that time. They use some of it. You've seen it. You walk into a top dog's office, and they're staring out into space. You make a noise, and sometimes they'll say, I'm sorry, you know, I was just trying to put this deal together for a client, just try to figure out how to get the family to understand what I was trying to accomplish. They have learned that somewhere along the line, they can deliberately get themselves into that trance-like focused state, and instead of wasting it, they can program themselves with it. They start repeatedly visualizing a goal. They'll say things like, I go to bed every night visualizing it, dreaming it. I could see myself doing it. I was in the zone. I was totally focused that year. That's all. Those are all examples of self-hypnosis. It is not a scary thing. Now, again, without elaborating too much, I don't have a whole lot of time tonight, but what I would like to do is, what time I have left, I'd like to show you what it is I have been alluding to. In other words, some of you might be wondering what these chairs are doing up here. For those of you who have not seen me before, at this point, I'm going to bring a few of you up out of the audience and literally hypnotize you. Show you in living color what this whole idea is about, but more to the point, hopefully convey a message that the more focused you are on an image, on an idea, on a picture in your mind, the more likely you are to actually pull the rabbit out of the hat. In other words, some of you could be sitting here saying, yes, next year that's going to be me getting the $4 million award, or I'm going to do $2 million next year. You can say it, but if you can't see it, you're going to have a hard time accomplishing it. Time again, you know, you'll see people talking the talk but not walking the walk. They just don't have the image or the picture. And I also want to clarify one other thing. I do not believe this is the only part of the puzzle. I don't think if you go home every night and visualize doing $4 million next year that the, money's going to fall out of the ceiling. I don't think it works like that. I don't think it's the only part of the puzzle. You are still going to have to network, do a lot of hard work, keep up with your research, be good at what you do. It's not the only part of the puzzle, but it is a crucial part of the puzzle that quite a few people completely ignore. This imagery, this picture of yourself, getting to where you claim you want to go. So I'm going to bring people up and hypnotize them to demonstrate that visually. Before I do that, I want to make a couple of promises. Standard promises I make to every audience, and I keep them. Promise number one, you don't have to come up here if you don't want to. Every once in a while, I'll find a great subject in the audience. Naturally, I'd like to bring them up front. If I invite you to join me up front and you don't want to, just say so. Wave me off, give me a hand signal. I'll happily move on to someone else. I don't want you up here unless you want to be up here, and I'm certainly not going to drag you up here kicking and screaming. But number two, if you do come up here, I promise you will not be humiliated or embarrassed. This is not dancing with broomsticks or quacking like ducks, honest. It's really interesting stuff. If you've never seen this before, fasten your seatbelts because it truly is fascinating, but no one will be humiliated. In fact, everything I do this evening is going to carry with it a message. Quite simply, I want to show you that if you truly do aspire to do $2 million next year instead of $1 million, you really should be visualizing it as part of the process. No one's going to be humiliated. My third promise is if you do come up here, I can pretty well promise by the end of the presentation you will be extremely relaxed. It's one of the side effects of the technique. I cannot tell you how many people have come up to me after I've hypnotized them. It's almost standard these days. They'll say, I feel great, feel like I just had a full body massage, this is better than drugs. All kinds of statements. And I'll tell you why. For those of you who do not end up here, if you remain in the audience, simply observe how I guide these individuals. And that's really all I am doing. All I'm doing is focusing them and showing them how to relax mentally as well as physically. And let's face it, some of you folks haven't relaxed in years. Some of you walk around worrying about things all the time, clenching your teeth, gritting your toes. I mean, just walk around with this tension in your body constantly. You go to bed at night worrying, and you wake up first thing in the morning and go back to worrying again. I mean, there are some people in this culture that simply never let go and relax. The technique involves very deep relaxation. Consequently, people come up afterwards and comment, I feel phenomenal. Feels like I just had 10 solid hours sleep. So those are the 3 promises that I can make to you as a group. Here's what I need to do next. Find some good hypnotic subjects. Obviously, if we're going to bring folks up here, I prefer good as opposed to not such hot subjects. And it turns out, not surprisingly, that hypnotic suggestibility follows the bell curve almost exactly. How many of you are familiar with the bell curve, the normal distribution? You all should be, since you make your living from it, but that's another dissertation altogether. Nonetheless, the bell curve it follows hypnotic suggestibility nearly perfectly. And here's what the bell curve says. It says that if you have a random group, a large random group, you should expect roughly 5 to 15% of that group to be very good hypnotic subjects. Right out of the gate. First time you try to hypnotize them, they're going to be good subjects. About 68% of you will be, by definition, average hypnotic subjects. Another 5 to 15% I would expect to be difficult, all the way down to about 2.14% who could never be hypnotized at all. Now, if I have a choice, who do you think I'm going after? Obviously, I focus on the 5 to 15%, and I will answer and preempt a question that I know is coming my way. Why would this 5 to 15% be such great subjects? Why are most people by definition average and some of these people such wonderful subjects? Well, it turns out the people that end up here on stage have probably been hypnotizing themselves for years, just not calling it that. Time and time again, I get people up here and afterwards they'll say, I would have bet the farm that I could never be hypnotized, but I was an athlete in college or high school and I could get myself in the zone, I could focus where I'd feel no pain, I could run long distance racing without, it didn't hurt at all. After the race, hurt like crazy, but during the race, I kept focused on the finish line. I had a guy a couple weeks ago come up to me and said, had an imaginary friend till I was 19, does that count? Excellent subject. And if you follow along with my basic precepts, I happen to believe in a tiger group, in an alpha group like this, there's going to be a lot of you, surprisingly enough, that have been hypnotizing yourselves for years to get to where you are today, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, you're probably going to see a lot of what I'm talking about, and a lot of what you see here today is simply going to be a refresher course for you in the sense that, yeah, I do that when it comes to business. I do. I visualize my goals. I see myself. I go to bed at night focusing on the targets I'm trying to hit. That's all it is. It's going to be a refresher course for some of you. But how do I find these very good subjects as opposed to the average subjects? Well, turns out there are hundreds of ways you can do it, but there are 2 little techniques that I've been using for years with great success. There are literally hundreds of different suggestibility tests, but the 2 that I like the best each take 5 minutes or less. At the end of this second test, we are all going to know who the really good subjects are. Would you folks be willing to take these 2 little tests with me? Okay. And each test takes 5 minutes or less, and the first is called the Comstock test. Again, this is going to be a refresher for some of you who saw me 11 years ago. Very, very simple test. All I need you to do, if you wouldn't mind, is uncross your feet and legs, please. Place your feet flat on the floor. Thank you. Would you now rest your backs comfortably against the backs of the chairs? Perfect. Would you make 2 fists, like so? Excellent. Bring your hands together so your thumbs and your knuckles are touching like this. Beautiful. And then if you would simply extend both of your index fingers, not the little ones, the index fingers, make your index fingers look like 2 little goalposts. Perfect. Very simple. Now, would you close your eyes down tight, keep them closed for just a moment or 2, and concentrate on the tips of your index fingers. Focus on the tips of your index fingers, and simply use your imaginations. I'm going to ask you to imagine that the tips of your index fingers are magnetized, that the tips of your index fingers are 2 powerful, attracting magnets. Imagine you can feel magnetic attraction in each of those fingers starting to pull the fingers together, starting to draw those 2 index fingers closer and closer, tighter and tighter, until soon they actually touch. Now, if it hasn't started already, in a moment you're going to feel them pulling and tugging together. So I am just going to start slowly counting back from 3 down to 1. With each number I count, the attraction will get more and more noticeable. They'll pull closer and closer, tighter and tighter. And by the time I reach the number 1, if they're not touching already, they will be by then. So feel this happening. 3. Feel those fingertips pulling and tugging and drawing together. 2. as if they were magnets drawing closer and closer, tighter and tighter, pulling all the way together. 3, 2, now all the way together, and 1. Perfect. Would you please all look up here? Can I see by a show of hands? How many of you got your fingertips all the way together? I'd expect, look at that, 15%. What a shock. 10,000 presentations and always 15%. How many of you noticed when the fingertips came together that they did not move smoothly together? They kind of felt like they were being jerked together. Did any of you notice that? That is known as a vesiculation. That is the technical name. Hypnotists always look for vesiculated motions. Every once in a while, there's someone in the audience who really wants to be hypnotized. They want to stop smoking or lose weight or something, and they do this. They go, ooh, that's amazing. That's not it. Oh, but if it was that simple. That is not it. But many of you did notice the fingertips came dramatically together. Why did your fingertips come together? Clearly, there's a mind-body interaction. If you were able to visualize your fingertips as 2 powerful magnets, if that image got into your subconscious mind, quite simply, your fingers started acting like 2 powerful magnets. In and of itself, that is not terribly hypnotic. This is what would make it hypnosis. You ought to try this because it's kind of spooky. If you spent 5 minutes a day every day for the next week or two, just visualizing your fingertips as 2 incredibly powerful magnets, usually within 4 or 5 sessions, when you try to pull your fingertips apart, much to your surprise, you'll discover they will not come apart. By repeatedly visualizing your fingertips as powerful magnets, at some point that image gets into the subconscious mind, your mind accepts that irrational suggestion, and then it starts acting like 2 powerful magnets. Hopefully, you see the connection between that and goal setting. Again, were you $1 million winner tonight and your goal was $2 million next year like this gentleman here? My suggestion is spend a few minutes every day in quiet reflection doing nothing but visualizing yourself coming up on this stage next year getting the $2 million award. Imagine that you're attracting to you high net worth and high income clients. See yourself interacting and dealing with those families. Attract them to you, strangely enough, by repeatedly visualizing yourself as a $2 million producer. At some point, that'll strike your subconscious mind, and you'll begin to act like a $2 million producer. What's the difference? Well, as I mentioned, some of the $2 million producers are attracting to them clients with higher net worth or higher income. Another young lady I spoke to tonight was saying, most of you in this room have 500 to 1,000 families. She was able to get to the level she did with 78 families simply by attracting different kinds of clients to her. There are many ways of getting to success, some of them surprising. And you change the image in your mind, you might find yourself changing subtly the way you're doing business and getting you to where you want to be a little quicker. And that's really what this is all about. So the first little technique was fingertips coming together with a Comstock technique. I've got one more test. This second test is known as the arm rising and falling test. By the time we finish this next test, there will be a number of you in this room that have one of your arms pointing pretty much straight up into the air. My job is to find the good hypnotic subjects. So I'll be scanning the audience looking for those of you that appear to be very good hypnotic subjects. In the next few minutes, I'm going to come down off this stage and out into the audience. Some of you may hear or feel me come up to you, touch your shoulder or your arm, and say a few words to you. If I do that, I assure you I am not getting strange or weird or fresh. I'm just picking you out as the very good hypnotic subjects. I'll probably pick about 10 of you, and then I will go up individually to each of you and ask if you'd be willing to volunteer. Let me repeat. If I pick you as a good subject and you don't want to come up front, simply tell me you don't want to come up front, and I'll go find someone else. But we'll bring those who are willing to come forward, and we'll do a demonstration. And I can pretty much state this. If you've not ever seen this, let me do a survey. How many folks have never seen someone up close and personal hypnotize? Whoa, fasten your seatbelts. This is going to blow you away. I've been doing this 31 years now, professionally. Quite a few years before that unprofessionally, but it's college was so much fun. Anyhow, oh, I got away with so much of that. Anyhow, it still, quite honestly, amazes me. I'm still fascinated by it. I mean, wait till you see what some of you are capable of doing. Wait till you see when you harness this ability to imagine things and focus your attention, what comes out of it. It's simply unbelievable. But again, no one's going to be humiliated, but it certainly is amazing. So to do this second test is really just as simple as the first. Would you please uncross your feet and legs, place your feet flat on the floor, just like we did before. All right, give these folks a round of applause if you don't mind. Thanks for volunteering, sir. Thank you. My microphone cord got caught there for a second. Well, we'll just grab you a chair. Could you hand me that chair, sir? Oh, there's one. There you go. Excellent. Thank you so much. So you have a chair. Oh, okay. We'll just put this over here then. There we go. Would you mind giving these folks a round of applause again for volunteering to come up here? Hey! Now, my microphone cord got caught there. Have any of you folks ever been hypnotized before? Very first time for all of you. You have, okay? Sir, gentlemen, start with you in the middle. Have you ever been hypnotized? Could you do me a favor? Your chair is a little bit farther back than the others. Would you mind scooting your chair up just a little bit, and you'll see why in just a moment. Your first name is?
Tim.
Tim. 3 syllables and 3 letters. All right. And I'm just guessing you're from the South somewhere. That's just a guess. I just. And your first name, sir?
Leonard.
Leonard. Do you know Tim? Would you go to shake because you're going to know each other a whole lot better than you ever thought you would. All right, there we go. I need your help, Leonard. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to make sure that Tim doesn't hit the floor. Could you do that for me? Sounds like a strange request, I know, but would you put your arm up there just like that and catch him if you have to? Fair enough? Good enough. And Tim, are you hypnotized right now? Are you positive of that? Oh, good. Then would you do me a favor? See, you got this bank of spotlights up there. Would you pick just one of them, any one you wish? Keep your eyes on it. Focus on that one spot. Let me know when you got your eyes focused. Are you there? Beautiful. And you're not hypnotized, right? Glad to hear it. Would you take a nice deep breath for me? Beautiful. Sleep, Tim. Way down deep. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Loose and limp like a rag doll, Tim. All the way down. There you go. Deeper and deeper. Leonard. See that bank of lights up there? Would you pick just one of them for me? Take your eyes. Keep your eyes on that spot. Take a nice deep breath for me, would you, Leonard? Beautiful. Sleep, Leonard. Way down deep. All the way down. Loose and limp like a rag doll. All the way down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deeper and more relaxed. Loose and limp. Loose and limp. Sir, your first name would be?
Heath.
Heath. Are you hypnotized?
No.
Are you sure? Oh, good. We see those lights up there? Which one strikes your fancy? Oh, it doesn't matter. Sleep, way down deep. Loosen it, all the way down. Loosen it. Take a deep breath. There you go. Sleep, way down deep. All the way down. Loosen it like a rag doll. All the way down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep going deeper and deeper. More and more relaxed with each and every breath you take. How you doing, sir? Sleep, way down deep. All the way down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deeper, more relaxed. Loosen limp, loosen limp. Keep dropping down deeper and deeper. More and more relaxed with each and every breath you take. Just keep drifting down until I ask you to awaken. Loosen limp, loosen limp, loosen limp, loosen limp. All the way down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep. All the way. There you go. I think Tim died. Sleep way down. Take a deep breath. Just relax. Close your eyes all the way down. Deep sleep. All the way. There you go. Just keep relaxing, Tim. Deeper and deeper until I ask you to wake. Loosen limp. Deeper and deeper. More and more relaxed. Loosen. Whoa, poor Tim. All right, here we go. Sir, your first name would be?
Pete.
Pete. Pick a spot right there. Take a deep breath. Beautiful. All the way down. Loosen limp like a rag doll. Deeper and more relaxed. Deeper. Keep going. All the way down. And sleep. Deeper and more relaxed. Take another deep breath. All the way down. And sleep. All the way down. Now just keep going deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed until I ask you, would you mind catching him, ma'am? There you go. Thank you so much. You've been hypnotized, right?
Yeah.
Good. Sleep. Way down. Loosen limp. All the way down. Deeper and more relaxed. Deeper, more relaxed. Loosen limp. Deeper. Loosen limp. Loosen limp. Loosen limp. Loosen limp. Loose. Ooh. First name?
Ryan.
Are you hypnotized, Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Wide awake. Wide awake? Take a deep breath for me, would you? Sleep all the way down, loosen up, all the way down, loosen up. Deeper, more relaxed, loosen up all the way down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, loosen up, just like a rag doll. Keep going deeper and deeper. Just let the tension drain out of your body. Feel your legs relaxing. Feel the muscles in your stomach and back growing loose and limp, loose and limp. It says, loose and limp. Taking advantage. Deeper, deeper, more and more relaxed. I'll fix that in a minute, I promise. I'll fix it right now. Wait. How am I going to do this? Okay, only the person whose shoulder I'm touching. Only the person whose shoulder I'm touching. Deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed. Deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed. Deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed. Loose. Sleep way down deep. Where you go. If you do it there. There you go. Deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed. Loosen limp. All the way down. Deeper, more relaxed. Deeper, more relaxed. Deeper, more relaxed. Excellent. And then there was one. Your first name, sir, is? Steve. Do you mind picking any spot up there? Any spot you like? You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Beautiful. Take a nice deep breath for me. And just keep breathing slowly and deeply just for the next few minutes. I know you guys are relaxed. I'm going to ask you now I'm going to show you how to relax even deeper. Let me explain. Just a few minutes, I'm going to start slowly counting backwards from 5 down to 1. As I count backwards with each and every number, I'm going to ask you to use your incredible imaginations, let yourselves drift down even deeper into this wonderful, deep, relaxed state that you're in right now. Even deeper. That's it. Deeper and more relaxed with each and every breath you take. So deep, so relaxed, that by the time I reach the number 1, every single muscle in your body, every muscle from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, totally, deeply, perfectly, wonderfully relaxed by the time I reach the number 1. And we're going to start this process by taking a nice deep breath. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. And as you exhale, slowly, 5. Start dropping down even deeper into relaxation. Just let go all the way down. Let all the muscles in your legs loosen and relax. Drop down deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed. Deeper, sleep, deeper, deeper and more relaxed. Take another nice deep breath now. Breathe in deeply. And as you exhale, 4, all the muscles in your stomach and back, loosen, limp, loosen, limp, loosen, limp, deeper and deeper. Let all the muscles in your shoulders totally relax. Let all that tension just drop out of your shoulders now. Very deep, very relaxed. Very deep, very relaxed. Let's take another nice deep breath now. Breathe in deeply. And as you exhale, slowly, 3. There you go. Let all the muscles in your arms now just go limp, limp and loose, limp and loose, limp and loose, limp and loose. Perfect. Now, when we reach the next number, I want you to let all the muscles in your neck totally relax so that heavy head of yours can drop and flop wherever it wants to go. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. There you go. 2. Now drop way down. Sleep. Let that head drop wherever it wants to go. Sleep. Very deep, very deep, very relaxed. Very deep, very relaxed. Beautiful. You're concentrating just perfectly. Just one more number. And when we reach this final number, that's when I want you to let all the tension in your bodies relax. When I reach that final number, I want you to let all the muscles in your face and jaws, all the muscles in your forehead and temples, every single muscle from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, just totally, deeply, wonderfully relaxed. Let's do that now. Take a nice deep breath, breathe in deeply, and sleep all the way down. 1, sleep all the way down, sleep. Loosen, limp, deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed until I ask you to awaken. From this moment forward, any sounds you hear from the group are just going to relax you even more. Notice how relaxed and comfortable you become. Every sound just relaxes you more. If you hear the audience laugh, you just relax even deeper. Let every single muscle in your body continue to loosen and relax, loosen and relax, loosen and relax, until I ask you to awaken. You are concentrating perfectly. I invited these folks to join me on stage because they appeared to be good visualizers. Again, in my parlance, a good visualizer is someone that can take an image, internalize that image very quickly, turn that image into action. Ask a good visualizer to visualize holding 100 silver balloons filled with helium in the right arms, and you often get a dramatic lifting of the arm. Ask them to imagine the tips of their fingers as magnets, and the fingers often come all the way together. Now, all I've done is ask these very good visualizers to visualize their bodies loose, limp, and relaxed like a rag doll. Notice the relaxation that you are seeing here. This is pretty much as relaxed as a human being can be and still be drawing a breath. Please notice there is 0 tension in these individuals' bodies at this point. They are no longer gritting their teeth. They're no longer holding tension in their bodies. Total, wonderful, deep relaxation. You may recall one of the 3 promises I made to all these folks was that if they come up here, they were going to be completely relaxed, and I also pointed out it was because of the technique that I am using. It simply has to follow that if you visualize your bodies loose, limp, and relaxed, your body becomes loose and limp. A lot of people at this point will say, just teach me this much. You know, if you could show me how to do this, this would be enough for me. If I go home at the end of the day, you know, totally let go and relax like this, I'll bet I'd sleep better, my concentration would improve, my allergies would go away. Just show me how to do this. Well, in and of itself, this is great. This is very therapeutic. However, there's a lot more to this technique than just this deep relaxation. They are this relaxed because of the image they currently are holding in their mind, which, as I mentioned, is loose and limp like a rag doll. What would the opposite of that be? How about stiff and rigid? Does it stand to reason if we simply altered the image, if we had them focus on a different picture, would you expect to get a different result? In a nutshell, that is my entire presentation. I'm saying if you're currently focused on making $1 million and you started focusing on $2 million, you're likely to reach that goal quicker and easier. If you're not focused on any goal at all and you pick a goal to focus on, you're much more likely to reach that goal than someone that doesn't have that kind of focus. It's just change the picture, you change the image. So let's change the picture, see what happens. I'm going to extend your arm as I do. I want you to feel that arm becoming stiff and rigid like a bar of steel right now, locked into your arm and shoulder, stiff and rigid like a steel bar. As I extend your arm, feel that arm becoming stiff and rigid like a bar of steel welded to your shoulder. As I extend your arm, feel that arm stiff and rigid like a steel bar. Concentrate now, rigid and stiff and rigid like a bar of steel. As I extend your arm, use your imagination, stiff and rigid and stiff. Concentrate now, stiff and rigid like a bar of steel welded to your shoulder. As you feel the arm extended, stiff and rigid now, rigid and stiff and rigid like a steel bar welded to your shoulder. Here we go. Stiff and couldn't find the hand. Stiff and rigid and stiff, more rigid. Now, as that arm becomes more stiff and more rigid, In a moment, I'm going to start slowly counting backwards from 3 down to 1. With each number, that arm's going to continue getting more stiff and more rigid, so stiff and rigid that by the time I reach the number 1, you'll discover you cannot bend or lower that arm until I clap my hands. You cannot bend or lower that arm until I clap my hands. It's stiff and rigid like a bar of steel. Feel this happening. 3, it's getting stiff and rigid. 2, like a bar of steel that has been welded to your shoulder. 3, 2, and 1. So incredibly stiff and rigid now, even as you try to lower the arm, it will not go down. And I want you to try. In fact, I want you to feel it's important to lower, but you'll discover the harder you try, the more stiff and rigid it becomes. Even as I press on the arm, even as I press, it remains stiff and rigid and stiff. You're not trying hard enough. Stiff and rigid like a bar of steel. Stiff and rigid. Try as hard as you can. The harder you try, the more stiff and rigid and stiff that arm becomes. You're simply not trying hard enough. Stiff and rigid and stiff, like a steel bar welded to your shoulder. First thing I'd ask you to notice, I usually bring people up to do this, but it takes a little bit too much time to do that today. Stiff and rigid like a bar of steel. These arms, honest to God, I feel like I sit on this arm. Let me show you my favorite thing. This is absolutely my favorite thing. I love that. What you are seeing is a style and a class of rigidity. I mean, you would have to feel these arms to believe how stiff and rigid they are. But I'd ask you to notice how localized it is. Even though the arms are that stiff and rigid like a bar of steel, would you also notice the rest of the body hasn't changed at all? There's no tension anywhere else in this body except the one part they're concentrating on, and that part to a very great degree. Also, please notice, it's not just the guys that can do this. The women are every bit as rigid and stiff like a bar of steel. I mean, it's unbelievable how stiff and rigid these arms can become when they do this. Beautiful. See, wait, Andy. Loosen the back. Now, in a moment, I'm going to clap my hands. The instant I clap my hands, those arms are going to drop down like rubber bands, and you're going to let yourself fall twice as deep asleep. When I clap my hands, let your arms fall twice as deep asleep. 3, 2, 1. Sleep, 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 sleep. All the way down. Loosen, limp, and sleep. Beautiful. Take a nice deep breath. Wonderful, nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. And drop down even deeper. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. That was just a visual representation of what I've been talking about. Change the image in your mind, and you can sometimes radically change the outcome. Go from loose and limp and like a rag doll to stiff and rigid like a bar of steel. They begin to act stiff and rigid like a bar of steel. Let's take a look at another aspect of it, your emotional state. Would you agree that your emotions affect your performance in this business? That if you have a positive attitude, if you are enthusiastic, if you really believe in what you're doing, you're likely to be much more effective than a person that has fear of failure, fear of rejection, doesn't really believe in what they're up to. Obviously, your emotions affect your performance. The beauty of this technique is that it allows you to tap into your emotional state. There are literally dozens of ways I could demonstrate this. I am choosing to demonstrate this in a humorous way. But there is a message, which I'll explain in just a few moments. Here's the technique. Would you all take a nice deep breath, breathe in deeply, drop down even deeper now, sleep, 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 sleep. Excellent. And in just a moment, I'm going to touch your shoulder, and when I touch your shoulder, I'll start laughing. Laugh, 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 laugh. As I touch your shoulder, laugh, funny, funny, very funny, very funny. Laugh, 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 funny, funny, very funny, 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 very funny. Harder you laugh, the better you feel. Laugh, laugh, harder, harder. Harder you laugh, the better you feel. Funniest thing in the whole wide world. It's the most hilarious thing in the whole wide world. It just keeps getting funnier and funnier, and the harder you laugh, the better you feel. The harder you laugh, the funnier it becomes. And here's the best part. In a moment when I stamp my foot, it will instantly become 10 times funnier. Instantly becomes now 10 times funnier. Oh my goodness, this is rolling around the chair, absolutely hilarious. 10 times funnier. 100 times funnier. And the harder you laugh, the better you feel. The harder you laugh, the funnier it becomes. Absolutely hilarious. Now sleep. Sleep, 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 sleep. Sleep. Wait, Andy, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let me explain what you all just saw there. Excellent example of emotional control. Except for this guy over here, by the way. Sleep. Wait, Andy. There you go. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Wait, Andy. 5, 4. Take a deep breath. That's it. Wait, Andy. Okay, now, if I walked up to any of you, and just said, only the person whose shoulder I'm touching, start laughing. Funniest thing in the whole wide world. 10 times. 100 times funnier. 200 times funnier. 1,000 times funnier. Now, you got to admit that this is dramatic, right? Let me show you what impresses me even more. Sleep. That impresses me so much more. The ability to shut it down like that is awesome. I mean, you'd have trouble training actors to do that. What you saw there is an excellent example of emotional control. I promised you a message. Here's the message. Some folks, as they get close to the time where they're asking for the signature in the paper of the sale, they experience what a friend of mine calls closomophobia. They get nervous, they start speaking more rapidly, their face flushes a little bit. You know, they're kind of teaching the client that they're nervous about it. Wouldn't it be nice if, as you approach the close of the sale, that you got more calm inside, more confident, more focused on what you were doing? That's an emotional state that you really can increase or decrease through the use of visualization. Some of you feel that you really can't deal with or don't feel comfortable in front of a certain type of net worth or income type of client. You just don't feel comfortable. You can change that by visualizing yourself as being smooth, comfortable, and in control while you're dealing with those kinds of people. There are a variety of ways that you can either increase one emotion or decrease in another, where visualization obviously would be of value to you. Now, those of you who have seen me do this 11 years ago know that this is pretty much what I do in every presentation, and there really is a part to this that is part deepening, part me reading the subjects, figuring out who the really good ones are. From this point forward, it gets a little crazy, okay? So we've got the subjects that are deep and are really in a good state, but they're all in kind of weird positions, and I certainly don't want them to get neck aches or anything. So, in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. At the count of 5, I'm going to ask you all to sit up straight, the chair, eyes wide open, but still responding to the sound of my voice, feeling fantastic in every way. Eyes wide open, responding to the sound of my voice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sit up straight, the chair. Give these folks a round of applause. Wait. Wide up, sit up straight. Whoa, here we go. No. These guys are great. And none of you, with the exception of the young lady, have ever been hypnotized. Is that correct? Sir, are you hypnotized? No. Are you positive of that? Are you a betting person? Ever place a bet? Oh, I got a bet. I'll tell you, we'll keep the bet small. I'll bet you $1 you're hypnotized. Fair enough? Okay. Shake on it. Sleep. Loosen limp. Stop. Fuse, sealed, locked, like that hand is part of your face. Feel it fusing, sealing, locking to your head. In a moment, when we count from 1 to 5, your eyes will pop wide open. You'll wake up completely, but that hand will be fused, sealed, and locked to your head until I clap my hands. You'll discover no matter how hard you try, you cannot remove that hand until I clap my hands. 1, 2, 3, 5, oh, eyes wide open. Okay, now. Let's check this out here. I'm going to go to the mic here for a second. There we go. Sir, are you hypnotized? Be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the important part for the group. Do you feel hypnotized?
No.
Other than the fact that your hand is glued to your head, is there any other indicator to you that you'd be hypnotized?
Just the glue with
Just
my
the glue.
hand.
I'm going to try to help you out here. Here, you can use that hand. Try to pull your other hand off. See if that helps at all. See how much fun he's having? Sleep. Way down deep, all the way down deep. Sleep. Look deeper, sleep, loose, deeper, more, deeper. All the way down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deeper, more relaxed. Only the person whose shoulder I'm touching. Deeper, more relaxed. Deeper, more relaxed. Watch this. Wait a second. Look at me for a second. Look over here. Boop. There you go. Tough, isn't it? Good night. Only the person whose shoulder I'm touching. Count of 5, when you open your eyes, you're going to be incredibly thirsty. Man, you're going to find out you've gotten so thirsty you've been sitting up here. You're going to ask me for some water. I'll give it to you, but when you go to drink it, you'll discover you can't find your mouth. No matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, you simply cannot locate your mouth. And the harder you try, the more impossible it becomes until I come up and touch your forehead. You can't find your mouth until I touch your forehead. Let that suggestion sink into the deepest part of your mind, all the way down to the deepest part of your mind. 1, 2, 3, 5, eyes wide open. Okay. Pretty interesting what this guy was doing, though, wasn't it? I mean, I saw you kind of were laughing, enjoying it when he couldn't get his hand off his face. Are you okay? Are you comfortable? Anything I can get you? Is this guy alive? Is this guy? Are you hungry? Is there anything? Are you thirsty? Are you alive? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Welcome back. Is there anything I can get you? Sleep. Wait, Andy. All the way in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Loosen up. Take a deep breath. Sleep. Wait, Andy. Over and loosen lip, loosen lip, loosen lip. Deeper, more relaxed, deeper, more relaxed. Loosen lip, loosen lip, loosen lip, loosen lip. I want you to clasp your hands together. Clasp them tight, 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 tight. Tighter. Tighter, concentrate, feel them, fusing, sealing, locking, as if they were carved from a single block of wood. 3, fusing, sealing, locking, as if they were carved from a single block of wood. When I reach number 1, you'll discover you cannot pull them apart. They feel like they're carved together like a block of wood. 3, 2, 1, try to pull them apart. They will not come apart. You can open your eyes wide, but those hands are stuck until I touch your forehead. Try as hard as you can, go ahead. Field's important, I'll give you an advantage, see if that helps. Use a little leverage there. Now, did you think you were hypnotized before all this started? Be honest. No. Do you think you're hypnotized at this moment? Wide awake, right? Yeah. Try as hard as you can. The harder you try, the tighter it sticks. Now, if you're not hypnotized, why can't you get your hands apart? Believe it or not, there is a lesson here. What you see, obviously, is a very good hypnotic subject responding to hypnotic suggestion that his hands are stuck, yet at the same time, consciously, he does not think he's in a trance. Do not go home and practice this technique and think it's going to feel like you just got hit over the head with a baseball bat, or you're not going to hear the Twilight Zone theme, or, it's not going to be like, yes, master, no, master. These folks are obviously all in a trance-like state, yet none of them actually believe or feel that they are. You don't feel different, you don't think different. Okay, so how am I going to know if this works? The only way you're going to know that any type of visualization works is if you give it a reasonable period of time. If you pick a goal that you really want to accomplish, visualize it over and over again, give it at least a week or two, and then kind of look back and ask yourself, has that behavior changed? Am I improving in my stated goal? Everybody else doing okay up here? How about you, sir? Are you hypnotized? Be honest. No, good. Sleep, wait, Andy. Sleep, 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 wait, Andy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. Try now. See what happens. Oh, that's amazing, isn't it? Don't worry. Sleep. Wait, Andy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Loosen it. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. Breathe in deeply. Breathe in deeply. In a moment, I'm going to count backwards from 5 down to 1. As I count backwards, I want you to use your incredible imaginations. I want you to imagine, as we count backwards, that we're being transported. By the time I reach number 1, I want you to imagine that we're traveling to the top of a mountain. To the top of a mountain. By the time I reach number 1, we're going to be at the top of a very high mountain. And here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're at the top of a mountain, and it's freezing up here, and you didn't bring a jacket. It's freezing up here. The temperature's plummeting. It's getting colder and colder, more and more and more uncomfortable. Your hands are freezing. Your legs are freezing. It's super cold up here. Now, there's one way that you can stay warm. In a moment when I clap my hands, if you grab the person next to you and hold on as tight as you possibly can, that'll keep you warm, but you got to hold on real tight. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grab somebody next to you. Hold on as tight as you possibly can. Grab tight, 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 tight. Grab somebody. The tighter you hold on, the warmer you're going to get now. Hold on, 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 and freeze. This is your Kodak moment, by the way. This is the one you can bring over. I'm so sorry about this. Sleep. Wait, Andy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Believe it or not, there's a message here as well. If you could measure these folks' skin temperature, if you actually could bring a thermometer and measure their external temperature, you got to feel this guy's hands, cold and numb. Their body reacted just like they were out in the cold. Now, you talk to a physician, and they will tell you that your body temperature is an involuntary response. You can't look at your hand and say, get cold, get warmer. It doesn't work like that. Yet, by visualizing, you can actually alter the temperature of your body. How many of you have ever heard the statement in business, never let them see you sweat? You know, a lot of times if you go into a meeting, I always urge people to sit down for a few minutes before the client shows up or before they walk into that meeting. Visualize yourself as if the meeting has ended and you've gotten what you wanted. You've accomplished your goal. It's over and you did exactly what you intended to do. If you visualize that clearly about 30 seconds before you walk into the meeting, what's the net result? Well, if the client comes in your office or you open that client's office door, they look and they see a person that appears confident, looks like they just got something done, just was successful. You've all heard the old adage, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression, and I believe visualization can also influence that aspect of the sale. I'm sorry about this. In a moment, the count of 5, everybody eyes wide open. 1, 2, 3, 5. Wait. What are you doing holding on to this guy here? What's going on with this? Wait. Wide awake. Give them a round of applause if you don't mind. These guys are excellent. Now, you, sir, have never been hypnotized? No. And I'm just guessing that prior to coming up here, you would have bet the farm that it could never happen, right?
Nah.
Okay. And your name is?
Paul.
Paul. Oh, good. Sleep. Wait. Count of 5, your name is Sally. S-A-L-L-Y. Your name is Sally until I touch your forehead again. What did you do? Eyes wide open. What did you say your name was?
Sally.
Your mother looked at that cute little baby boy and said, let's call him.
Sally?
Is that short for Salvador?
No, it's Sally.
Sally. Do you happen to have a wallet with you?
No.
No? Any kind of identification at all?
Yeah, I got my license.
Okay, great, great, great. That's what I'm looking for. Driver's license?
Yeah.
Perfect. Take a look and tell me what it says, would you? You don't carry a wallet? What's that driver's license say?
It says Paul.
Okay, so is that your picture?
Yeah.
Is that your last name?
Yeah.
Is that your address?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Sally?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Would you bet on it? Let's go back to that bet again. I bet $1 before. You want to bet more than that? I'll bet you $100. I'll bet you $100 that your name is not Sally. Would you take that bet?
Yeah.
Would you shake on it?
Yeah.
Before you shake. This is your team, right? These guys are your fellow,
Yeah.
right? Okay. How many people think that this guy's name is Sally? Can I see by show of hands? There's one person in here who's not your friend. How many think this gentleman's name is Paul? I want you to look around at this family.
It's Sally.
Want to make it 500? Now, understand the terms here. If you,
1,000.
Okay. All right. All right. So now, in other words, if you find out later that your name is actually, let's say, Paul, you're going to owe me $1,000.
Yeah.
But if your name is Sally, of course, I would owe you
You owe
$1,000.
me $1,000.
Right. And you'd shake on that. Now, you know that, like, in the state of Florida, shaking hands is like a contract, especially with, like, 500 witnesses. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
And you're still willing to do that.
Yes.
You're absolutely, well, let's shake for a second. You don't want to shake. Sleep deeper, more, all the way down. You guys are great. If you all look back here, just take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. Sleep. Way down deep. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep, deep, deep. All the way down. Loosen, limp, loosen, limp. Round of applause for these guys. They are excellent. You snapped out of it, didn't you? I'm so sorry. We'll keep you up here. Have fun with you, though. Okay. Deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed. Loosen, limp, loosen, limp, loosen, limp. All the way down. Deeper and deeper. Only the person whose shoulder I'm touching. Only the person whose shoulder I'm touching. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When I reach number 5, your eyes are going to pop open. You're going to wake up. You're going to feel wonderful. However, you're going to notice that that woman sitting to the right of you has the worst body odor you've ever smelled in your life. Just the worst body odor you've ever smelled in your life. You try to be polite about it, but it'll just get worse and worse with each passing moment. Worst body odor in your life coming from that woman to the right of you. Only the person whose shoulder I'm touching, sleep way down deep, 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 deep. With the count of 5, when you open your eyes, man, first thing you're going to notice is that man sitting to the left of you has the best smell you've ever smelled in the world. Smell drives you wild. You love it. You can't get enough of it. The closer you get, the better you feel. You love that smell coming from that guy to the left of you, and it actually gets better and better with each passing second. Let that suggestion sink way, way down to the deepest part of you. Only the person whose shoulder I'm touching now, take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. And then sleep way down deep. Loosen, limp, loosen, limp. The count of 5, when you open your eyes, sir, you're going to feel fantastic in every way. But about 10 seconds after you awaken, you're going to hear a sound coming from your left side. And when you look over in your left shoulder, you're going to see a little man standing there. A little 6-inch man wearing a tuxedo. That's right, 6-inch man wearing a tuxedo standing on your left shoulder. And he's going to be singing love songs to you. Strangest thing, you're going to hear the love songs. You're going to see the little man. You're going to know what the song is. It'll be as clear as day to you. A little man standing on your shoulder, singing love songs to you. Few seconds after you open your eyes at the count of 5, let that suggestion sink into the deepest part of your mind. Loosen, limp, loosen, limp, loosen, limp. Only the person whose shoulder I'm touching, only the person whose shoulder I'm touching for the rest of the evening. Whenever you hear me and only me say the words Edward Jones, you're going to fly up out of the chair that you're sitting in and yell at the top of your voice, it's Edward Jones for me. But you're not just going to say this, you're going to yell this like a cheerleader. It's Edward Jones for me. Every single time you hear me say Edward Jones, you're going to jump up and zoom up out of that chair. And each time I say it, you're going to get more and more enthusiastic, which each and every time you hear me say the word Edward Jones, you fly up and yell, it's Edward Jones for me. Let that suggestion sink down, down, deep, 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 deep. Let those suggestions sink in the deepest part of your mind. At the count of 5, eyes wide open, still responding to the sound of my voice, feeling fantastic in every way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes wide open. Round of applause again for these guys. They are excellent. Wake, 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 wake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wake, 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 wake. Everybody wide awake, doing fantastic. No, just keep it right. Do you know this young lady you're sitting next to, sir? Do you? No? Well, she, I happened to talk to her. Her goal was to be like the #1 advisor in the entire... I think she just might make it. No. What's going on? I got to ask you seriously. Oh, no. Oh, no. Is it really bad? Is it really bad? Oh, I don't want you. Oh, sleep. Wait, I do all I lose him. Now, what are you up to? You say you didn't even know this guy. Smells good? Smells like Downy. Downy's the best smell you can come up with? You do a lot of laundry or something? I mean, Downy's it, huh? Okay, well, hey, you never know. Eyes wide open, the count of 5, smells back to normal. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, eyes wide open. What is your favorite subject in school, sir? What was your favorite subject? Math, sleep, wait, and deep, 5, 4, 3. Count of 5, when you open your eyes, you'll discover you can't remember number 7. Number 7's erased from your mind until I touch your word again. Number 7's gone. The count of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, eyes wide open. Math is your favorite subject, right? Correct? Sir, you told me math was your favorite subject, right?
Yes.
All right, so you should be able to count from 1 to 10 for me, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Try again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10.
First it's easy. Try again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There, you got it that time. Now, how much is 5 plus 2?
4.
How much is 2 plus 2?
4.
How much is 4 plus 3?
4.
4. I got to ask you, do all the advisors at Edward Jones add like that? What do you think? Do you think all the advisors at Edward Jones act like that?
Edward Jones for me!
So you like Edward Jones?
Oh, Edward Jones for me!
Would you mind stepping up here for me for just a second? I got to show you the neatest trick. Come on over here for a second, sorry. Turn around here, Paul. No, what's your name? I forgot. What's your name?
Sally.
You're sure? Still. Come on over here for just a second. Stand back here. I want to show you a really neat trick. Do you know what this is? It's a sleep gun. Let me explain. You shoot people with this, they fall into a deep hypnotic sleep. Watch. See the young lady over there? Watch.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool, yeah. Now watch. Hey, come here. Come on, I'm going to give you. You got one too. Shoot the guy next to her.
He didn't move.
Watch, he's going. There you go.
That was pretty slow.
Yeah. Well, some people die slow. What can I do? There he goes. There he's going. All right. Now, sit down for a second. You're being a good sport about this. Thank you so much. Hey, how you doing, sir? Sleep way down deep, all the way in. Sleep. Round of applause for these guys. And we got one more thing we're going to do here. Sleep. Oops. Sleep. Loose and limp and relaxed. Concentrating and relaxing. Eyes wide open at the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sit up straight in the chair. This is, as I mentioned, my second appearance to this group. Edward Jones has been very, very kind to me. Had me in a number of.
Jones for me!
Forgot about that. And I've met a number of the management within this group, but I have to tell you, the gentleman that brought me in tonight, Alan, whose last name I will never pronounce correctly, who is the advanced technique guy, was probably my favorite in terms of enthusiasm. Alan, are you here anywhere? Could you mind stepping up here just a second? I mean, you were such a joy to work with. I figure since you have a number of these Edward Jones people that are focused the way they are, that you'd like to take a moment and inspire them. Everybody, eyes wide open, wake, 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 wide awake, wake, 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 wake. If you stand over here, say something motivating to these folks. There's your microphone. Look straight at them and give them just a motivating message if you don't mind.
Folks, we need to deeply serve 150,000 more households this year. 150,000 more households this year. Leonard, you don't have to do all of it yourself, but we need to deeply serve 150,000 households. Steve, do you think we can do that? Yes.
Everybody, eyes wide open at the count of 5. Wait, 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 wait. Come on, you guys. Alan, you're hurting his feelings here. He's one of the top performers. Come on. Pay attention. Everybody look over here, pay attention. Alan, one more time if you don't mind, Alan. This time a little bit more enthusiasm.
Okay, folks, we need to deeply serve 150,000 households. Why is that not working?
Because, I hate to tell you, I told them to respond to your voice exactly the way they felt, and this is probably not good. I am very, no, give him a round of applause. He was great. Thank you for having me. We've got to wrap this up. All right, everybody, nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply and sleep. Loose and limp, loose and limp, loose and limp. Everybody way down deep, loose and limp, relaxed and comfortable. Excellent. Now, in a moment, I'm going to count back from 3 down to 1. When I reach number 1, every suggestion I gave to you while you've been up here is going to be totally and completely removed. I'm going to say that again. By the time I reach number 1, every suggestion I've given you is totally and completely removed. Everything's back to normal, but still very, very, very deep asleep. Everybody very deep asleep by the time I reach number 1, but all the suggestions removed. 3, everything back to normal. 2, all the suggestions I gave you completely and totally removed. 1, still very deeply asleep. Perfect. Now, I'm going to give you one more suggestion before I wake you up. This one's the most important, so please listen carefully. From this moment forward, you and you alone are in total control of this state of mind. I'm going to say that again. From this moment forward, you and you alone are in complete and total control of this state of mind that you are in right now. Here's what that means. That means you're going to be able to return to this deep relaxation whenever you want and wherever you want, extremely easily and very quickly. All you have to do to return to this state of mind is pick a spot to look at, just like you did here. Take a few slow, deep breaths, just like you did here, and then start slowly counting in your mind back from 5 to 1. As you count backwards, you'll feel this deep relaxation coming over your mind and your body, and by the time you reach the number 1, your eyes will be closed, and the best part of all is that you're going to be able to give yourself suggestions that are every bit as powerful as any suggestions I could possibly give to you. You completely, totally control this state of mind from this moment forward. You can give yourself any helpful suggestions you wish, and then to wake up will be very easy. All you have to do is count forward in your mind from 1 to 5, at which time you'll be wide awake, rested, refreshed, and relaxed. And that's what I'm going to do next, which is to wake you up. However, sometime after you awaken, you're going to hear me say the word success. Sometime after you awaken, you're going to hear me say the word success. The instant that you hear me and only me say the word success, that's the instant that you will immediately realize that Alan is the most motivating and inspiring person you've ever had the pleasure of working with. He is Mr. Inspiration. You will be so thrilled about Alan and his inspirational qualities that the moment that you hear me say the word success, you will jump out of the chair that you were sitting in, you will run down, you will find Alan and give him a great big bear hug, just to show him how grateful you are for all of his moments of motivation and inspiration. You will give Alan the biggest bear hug you possibly can whenever you hear me say the word success, when you realize what a wonderful, enthusiastic, and motivating person he truly is. Let that suggestion sink down into the deepest, deepest, deepest part of your mind. And of course, only the person's shoulder I'm touching, whenever you hear me and only me say the words Edward Jones, you will fire up out of your chair with all that enthusiasm. Those suggestions sink now very deep in your mind. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. As I count from 1 to 5, you will awaken. You will feel rested, refreshed, relaxed. You're going to feel wonderful in every single way. Totally wide awake by the time I reach number 5. 1, we're beginning to wake up now. Feel your arms and your legs waking, 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 charging with energy. 2, you can sit up straight in the chair now. Your eyes are opening wide. Your thoughts are clear, sharp, focused, and precise. You feel great. 3, mind sharp, mind focused, mind's clear, wide awake, wake, 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 wake. 4, totally wide awake, enthused, and focused. And 5, all of this applause. And him, who's dead. I want to take a few moments before I get off stage, and I absolutely want to thank all the folks at Edward Jones who were wonderful. And every
Jones for me.
I actually am about to catch a red eye. I catch an 11:50 flight. I fly all night. I get into Orlando tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. I happen to live in Melbourne, Florida, so I drive home, grab another set of suitcases, and I catch a 12 o'clock flight to Cairo, Egypt, and then I am off to Rome. So it's going to be a real thrilling few days for me. But I do, before I leave, want to thank all of the folks. I really want to thank Alan and John Brewerline, who I didn't get a chance to say hello to tonight, and all the folks here that have been so good to me in every single way. I want to thank them all, but most of all, I want to thank these guys who are absolutely fantastic in every way, don't you think? These guys are great. They're great. I hope I was able to convey a message to you. All you saw all night tonight was people taking imagery and transmitting it into action. See your arm like a bar of steel, it acts like a bar of steel. See yourself up here next year taking a $4 million award, and you'll act like someone that deserves to receive the $4 million award. A lot of it goes on inside your head. And one part that usually gets ignored is that visualization. And hopefully I have impressed that upon you today. But with these folks and their ability to focus and visualize, all I can tell you is that if you practice the little techniques that you learned up here today, it can only help you guys to be, much more likely to be a success in this business than before. And I want to thank y'all. I gotta go. Good luck to you all. Thank you so much for having me. I got to run. I got to catch a plane, but you guys were just great. Thank you very, very much.